So our first article is from Games Radar, and it's regarding comments made related to this game. We got 3, right? And they're all rather amusing. So, making solid games isn't enough when you have gamers expecting extraordinary experiences, Ubisoft
I saw that headline
after Star Wars Outlaws. As Ubisoft works to turn things around after a few bad years, CEO, I'm just going to say the CEO, reckons making good, solid games won't cut it. On the heels of Assassin's Creed Shadows' delay, which has made Ubisoft's 2024 noticeably lighter, the CEO discussed plans for the future. Bear in mind, this past February, he described Assassin's Creed Mirage as a turning point for the studio's output as it works to regularly put out good games again. In his words, quote,
I've heard bad things about that game. But
the beginning of our turnaround to consistently creating and delivering high-quality, long-lasting games. Yeah, I bet you wish.
It almost feels like it really should be like couched in a much more serious context of now that Ubisoft stock is at like a decade low and investors are very, very concerned about the future of the company.
Yeah. Didn't they go like from 80 to 10 euros or something?
Dude,
yeah, they 50%. They lost 50%.
Holy shit!
The thing is, if you put it into perspective from their all-time high was something like 100 euros. Now they're down to what, like 5-6 euros per share. It's like really, really dramatic drop off.
Speaking on an investor conference call today, the CEO reckoned that good just ain't good enough. Quote, in today's challenging market and with gamers expecting extraordinary experiences, delivering solid quality is no longer enough, the CEO said. We must strive for excellence in all aspects of our work. This will enable the biggest entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise to fully deliver on its ambition, notably by fulfilling the promise of our dual protagonist adventure with Naoe and Yasuke, bringing 2 very different gameplay styles. This stance, which warrants the immediate counterpoint that perhaps this might not be only not be enough for AAA products that guzzle money like a Humvee guzzles gas, follows positive but not ravenous reception for Star Wars Outlaws, which Ubisoft clocked at a Metacritic score of 76 and average score
as a professional writer.
User score of 3.9 out of 5. Sales aren't exactly great. So Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game is now coming to Steam in November with its first DLC in tow. And the devs promise multiple free updates to come after. Yeah, one free update. They made me fix it in the game. Don't worry, we won't charge you for that. Assassin's Creed Shadows was also specifically delayed based on learnings from the Star Wars Outlaws release regarding polish.
Dude,
got the
Humvee thing.
This game the Humvee thing was a
nearly tripped over the Humvee thing.
They're like 4 articles deep, like that they've written today, and they're just at the bottom of the Stirling barrel. You know, like.
What I find so funny about this is like a worthless article. You've just essentially promoted like PR speak that Ubisoft wants, so that the company looks good. Like you haven't actually provided any analysis at all. It's just like the Ubisoft CEO said, "Hey, we're gonna make good games." Anyway, that's it. Look at our Star Wars Outlaws review, please.
Yeah, Ubisoft
I think it's a rage bait article.
Games Radar just like retweet their fucking post essentially and be like, "Oh, sick! Thanks,
Looks
guys."
Like
I find
Games Radar gave it a 3.5 stars out of 5. A
So
7 out of 10.
Oh,
It's a 7 out of
yeah.
10.
Wow.
Like
Here are
IGN,
the-
right?
It's just
I will list you
all
the
of them.
pros and the cons. The pros are snappy combat, excellent atmosphere, smart reputation and progression systems.
No.
The cons are poor stealth systems, repetitive mission design, frustrating lockpicking and hacking minigames.
You can skip those though; it's fine.
Skip them.
Smart that's insane. This person, who is this person? Josh West, you suck.
Yeah, Josh.
I find it amusing when
Editor-in-chief. Holy shit, he's the editor-in-chief of Games Radar. 7 out of 10.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just finding it amusing when the guy says, "Oh, in today's challenging market with gamers with extraordinary experiences, delivering blah blah blah." I'm just sitting here like, okay, how do you explain like games like Vampire Survivors where you actually just run around and pick shit up?
That's
fun. and people love it.
extraordinary
Yeah.
that they could make a game that way, Metal.
How do you explain Balatro?
Balatro fucking
yeah.
murders Outlaws. It's so funny.
It's just, how
What-
about you start with just making a functional game first,
Good start, yeah.
and
good
mechanics that work, and maybe a story that's kind of cohesive,
start. No.
It's almost
and
as
then
if
we work from there.
these games don't need to be these giant fucking megalith mono products that
Yeah.
like everyone in the universe can play and
Forever.
that costs like literally everyone's
much money.
souls.
They,
I mean,
they're so funny. They want to release almost fucking like bi-yearly a game that everyone will play forever. It's
Yeah.
like, guys, I don't think this is gonna work.
I'm gonna run out of time to play any of these.
This is why
So
Space Marine
this-
2 was so nice and refreshing. It's like a pretty short campaign that is like nice and linear. You shoot some things, has really cool set pieces. It's fun. It has solid game mechanics, and then you can do the operations, and you can use more of the game mechanics. Then you can do PvP. They have PvE in there. They have like a pretty good roadmap already with like apparently every content except like cosmetics are going to be free. So you just get free content.
I gotta tell you, Metal, I don't think what you're doing right there is a good example of how games are not trying to take over everything in your life and use all of your time. Because you're like, oh, it's so refreshing when Space Marine 2 came out and then did everything all the other game companies did by having this roadmap and all these multiplayer things. I don't think that was as good an example as you would like.
Yeah, but the game functions and works.
It was still a good game, though, was the
works.
point,
All right,
yeah.
that's a plus.
Yeah, well, and he's also saying that's like 8 or 9 hours, and when it comes to the campaign, we don't need like a 30-hour epic or anything like that. Just
I'll
make a
take a
really good
30-hour
experience
epic.
that's about.
Well, but
Well, I mean,
Right, and I thought that's where he was going with it, but then he was like, and then they're adding all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay.
No, I'm just saying you get more free stuff on top of the game that's already fun and plays very well.
I get it, dude.
you brutalized him.
Outlaws is getting free
I
updates.
hate you.
What do you mean? Outlaws is getting free updates. They're gonna
Yeah,
add. I
Outlaws is
think
getting
what they're
free
gonna
updates.
do.
No,
They are
is gonna
going-
be-
They're
You
gonna
know
add a
what-
functional game to it, maybe?
Where you used
No,
to fall
they're
through the
gonna add an
floor,
option.
they're gonna add floor for free. That doesn't make you go
Oh,
through it.
man.
Oh yeah. I think they said they're going to add an option to refund the game directly from the Trailblazer. They're going to add a. There's going to be a little station.
Rags, you press it, just blue screens. Like, wait a minute.
I mean, I know what you're getting at though, Metal, because like I'm currently playing through the new Zelda game, and it's just like a fun, contained experience. Everything works. It's the quality that I expect. It's the it's the franchise that I love. Like it's just it's a good game, and it's worth the money, and I don't got to worry about all this bullshit. It's just nice,
So, Article 2. This one, I just want to read it out, right? So, Star Wars Outlaws, not letting you shoot from the speeder, quote, wasn't an easy choice.
Okay.
Isn't that curious? What could
I
happen
feel like
here?
it was though.
The
Let's
absolute
discover.
idea that there were these difficult,
you,
groundbreaking development questions going on in that room, and this is the result.
Oh,
Did you
we
post
gotta
the
read
link?
this, okay? Because it's just funny. Star Wars Outlaws lead gameplay designer has explained why Kay Vess can't freely shoot from her speeder, noting that it wasn't an easy choice. It's been a few days since Star Wars Outlaws launched, and while the reception from fans has mostly been positive so far, there are a few
Okay,
key
did you tell
complaints
her?
that have made towards it, such as the high focus on stealth. That's not
That's not the criticism.
not
The
the-
criticism
It's that the
itself
stealth is shit.
crap.
yeah, and
you have to do it.
the short campaign.
Relatively short campaign. It'll be like 25 hours. It's not that short.
One of the biggest, though, is Kay's inability to shoot while riding her speeder bike.
I would say that
only
that's
moment-
considerably lower than a lot of other major criticisms.
Like the game
of
working.
game. Yeah.
You spend a lot of time on the speeder in Star Wars Outlaws, and most of the time we'll see you speeding away from imps and other baddies out to get ya. Despite having a blaster at all times, Kay strangely can't shoot from it while using the limited Adrenaline Rush takedown move, which takes a while to recharge and isn't super reliable because of it. Here's why Kay can't shoot from her speeder in Star Wars Outlaws. It's a pretty strange gameplay choice, and one that Star Wars fans have been vocal about over the past few days. Do you know how much padding there is just to get to this answer?
I know.
Fucking hell.
really
It's
frustrating.
Extend for
the
as long as you can.
article.
Although it looks like it's going to be sticking around in Outlaws, Massive Entertainment's lead gameplay designer Friedrich Thylander has at least revealed why the decision was made in a recent interview with Games Radar. Thylander explained that the original trilogy of Star Wars movies focused on speeder bike chases that all of the characters using them were usually evading instead of shooting.
Oh my
Massive,
Oh, come on.
Massive meant to replicate this feeling and didn't want players to just be able to ride in and assault people from a speeder. Quote, we wanted to make a mechanic that made you experience chases rather than having you feel as though you can ride in and assault people from the speeder.
I'm
but
so
by
right.
that-
I was right.
Jeez.
This is a lie, and I was right.
Yeah, this feels like a lie.
Oh, this is so a lie. I was.
Well, hold on,
totally
because
right.
it's the next paragraph.
Thylander
another one.
also
Oh.
explained
that the decision came down.
Yes.
The decision came down to having trouble programming the speeder to drive nicely if you were ever aiming your blaster while driving. A difficult task when trying to jump around and go at high speeds. Overall, Thylander admits that it wasn't an easy choice, but that he's happy to hear how the fans respond to it and take the feedback in mind.
Well, take the feedback in mind. What are you going to do about it? You're not going to fix it, right? Like
Other games have done this though. Like it's not
And
impossible.
you probably
those
won't get
games
a
are
sequel either. So, like, I don't even
I mean,
know
this
what's
is
the
work.
point.
If you
It
played
would
the
be work
game,
to do that.
played the game thoroughly, and then you just read that, does this not come across as though the people like fucking making this game haven't made games before?
Well,
Mhm.
what this
Well,
would
we know that
ultimately mean is that they would have to do a lot of work doing the programming and a lot of the animations and everything like that for ultimately what would be a small part of the game. It wasn't worth it. You focused on other things. That's the reason. It was too difficult for the small thing that it is in the game. That's it. That's the reason. Also,
Well-
lol, 7 out of 10. On this site too.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Where did their $300 million go then?
I took him. So.
On Nix.
German gold in Argentina.
On
Yeah.
those very hyper detailed animations of eating food.
Those beautiful NPCs, yeah.
The final article, and this is just to prompt the subject, as I was mentioning, we were going to cover it eventually. Star Wars Outlaws was plagued with issues at launch, some of which led Ubisoft to make drastic tweaks. It wasn't well received by the general market. I like that this is more honest because it's in the future. Like the other articles were less aware. And gamers worldwide have been giving it a pretty low score. It comes as no surprise to learn that in an entire month on the shelves, Star Wars Outlaws has sold just 1 million copies. Not as many sales as Ubisoft would have expected, which explains the recent comments about the game's performance proving softer than expected. It's also
I
partly
love
why
that PR speak. Softer rather than worse.
softer.
Mhm.
Also partly why
Softer is
So-
a much more approachable word.
Yeah, you
Then
have to
worse.
make the
It's better than
word
saying
sound
it's worse
nicer.
than we wanted. It's bad.
The sales are
Really.
balls. The sales were bantha poodoo.
Bantha
So
Voodoo.
what? $1,070, $170 million. Is that it? Is that how it is? I think.
Well,
No, that's not the math.
you probably have to average out the
70
other
million.
versions as well, right? An average of.
Yeah.
Also, partly why
no,
Assassin's
they come
Creed
back.
Shadows was considerably delayed, being pushed back to November 2024
I don't
from
think I
then
would-
to February 2025.
I would say it's not a considerable delay. I'd say it's the most that they could do it without pushing it past March. They would want it out before March because of the earnings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quarter four.
So yeah, this
Um,
was probably as far as they were allowed to do it. Because if it got pushed into any later than that, then yeah, that would be bad for them.
Insider Gaming hasn't been able to learn what the expected sales figures were for Star Wars Outlaws, but we have secured a current sales figure from sources close to the game. At the time of writing, Star Wars Outlaws has just ticked over 1 million sales worldwide. To put that into perspective, we reported in January 2024 that after 3 months, Assassin's Creed Mirage had hit the market. It had secured 5 million sales. Ooh.
And Assassin's Creed Mirage was not a full-blown proper Assassin's Creed game, as I understand it. It was DLC that they spun off into a single, like a new game. So it probably didn't cost as much to develop either.
You know what the devs are saying right now is dank Farrick. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, that's right.
Ugh.
According to Inside Your Gaming, Mirage has accumulated 5 million players and estimated 250 million in revenue as of January of 2024.
That's pretty good for them.
Yeah, and,
I think the Mario and Rabbids games are doing pretty well for Ubisoft too. So
I don't
Not
think
dead yet.
I don't think that's the case, right? Didn't the newest
Oh,
one
really?
not do well either? Yeah.
as someone who loved
okay,
the
my
first
bad.
one, I didn't like the second one. They changed all the mechanics. It upset me.
How many of these sites are there, by the way? Insider Gaming, the
Oh,
Gamer,
it's a lot.
Games Radar, like
There's a lot of this shit, yeah.
Game.
Game fucker.
what do they do?
Big gamer
This?
cocks.
Big gamer cogs.
Yeah.
Bad Dragon Lightsaber Games.
By the way-
.com. No, that's .org.
I like how it
No.
says it sold this many in 30 days and it's not expected it'll shift many more. It's like, no shit. It's got the worst
Obviously
word
not.
of mouth ever right now. It's like everyone's like, stay
Everyone
the fuck
hates
away.
this shit.
So, Mahler, can I add one article to the pile? Real
You
quick?
are welcome to.
I love reading. Reading is magic.
You
Oh,
wanna
another
read it,
gamer
Dev,
side.
or-
Oh, it's the gamer. We're back.
The gamer.
We don't got to read the whole
Insider.
thing, but it is kind of funny.
Yes,
All right.
History is going to be kind to Star Wars.
By
2 days
Jay.
ago.
If this was published 30 days ago, maybe like, I could buy why
Nope,
they
this
said
is-
it.
This is 2 days ago. Let's see here. What makes a video game bad? I would normally describe it as an experience that plays or looks terrible, or constantly get in its own way with poorly developed characters, narratives, or game design where levels and mechanics are a frequent frustration. So
Sounds
many
like
things
Outlaws.
have to go wrong for a game to truly be bad. But when standards are so high, that doesn't matter.
Oh, stop it! Stop.
There we go.
Standards.
Blame the gamers.
Standards
Standards are
My
too high
standards
now.
are that it's functional and not shit. My standards are
Yep.
not shit. You know what? I'll even be. It might even be lower than that. If you have a bad game that at least has one thing that's memorable and interesting, I'll walk away with not like a terrible thing, but like, oh hey,
Yeah.
at least you tried to do something interesting that was a part of it that was memorable. Like, okay, that's something at least. But
Mhm.
what's happening here in Outlaws other than like making my face hurt from laughter? What am I gonna think about?
A friend asked me what score I was going to give Star Wars Outlaws. Without skipping a beat, I threw out a 7 out of 10.
Uh,
The score I had
Because
Okay.
fucking everybody does.
Everybody does that, yeah.
It's just a fact now. It's not even a meme anymore. It's like,
Yep.
oh, what did they give it? Oh, it's a 7. Okay, of course it is. Okay, sure.
This is a respectable score and one that I've given to plenty of decent games over the years. By the Gamer's Review Guide, a 7 out of 10 is good. But to many, it's become a sign of mediocrity.
Sorry, not has become. It's been that way for like 15 years at this
Yeah.
point. Video game review scores are way too skewed to the higher numbers. It's been like back in PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 times, a 7 was viewed as a bad thing. But of course it was, because so many games were getting reviewed as like 8 or 9. If you got a 7 compared to most games that were coming out at the time, yeah, that was a low score. It's not a recent phenomenon. It's a problem that's been in the review space for video games for a while.
There's too
Yeah.
much like compression up at the top end there, and it leads to
Yep.
like no delineation between them.
Well-
Mostly because this isn't really used in terms of delineation. It's just there is a threshold of around like 7.5 plus of I will buy this, and below that I
Exactly.
won't.
But I
Yeah,
mean, it's the reason why IGN has weird scores like 9.7 or like 8.3.
Yeah.
These weird, like,
just use a
numbers.
100
It's just a
scale.
little bit better than the 9.6s out there. Just to let you know, if you were thinking about which one you were gonna buy the 9.7. It's just a little bit better.
And I mean, in my view, games are a lot shittier now than they used to be. So the fact that we're now still sticking with 7 being the average instead of 5 being the average, and I think 5 really should be the average, now that we've kind of regressed back into a period of games generally being shittier, but they're all still being given 7s, it's like, well, now I guess you got to buy only 9s or something.
Or at least Arkansas 8s.
No.
Nah.
So I've been reading through this article. I don't think the rest of it really needs to be read, but there are 2 paragraphs here that are
Damn,
pretty
Dev.
interesting.
That was like, I can't wait to read the rest of this
I
article.
don't think
Oh,
we
no,
need
no,
to be
no,
read.
no. Don't worry. I also agree. It's mostly just bullshit, but it is
But-
funny at least.
Well,
These two paragraphs I think are actually pretty interesting.
damn, Dev, you were wrong. He just
Even with its
Fuck.
flaws,
Let him go,
what
Rags.
sits at the
Jesus.
center is what sits at the center is a competent open world game that in many ways is a welcome breath of fresh air. It isn't overcomplicated or needlessly ambitious. It stays in its lane and does a nice job of it. But unless you're a masterpiece, it's impossible to avoid being dragged into a bizarre culture war or
Uh-huh.
unwarranted
Oh.
critical mauling. In the present day, Star Wars Outlaws has been cast aside as a forgettable failure thanks to our standards being so high and the industry being stuck in a destructive cycle of needing every single AAA game to be a flawless masterpiece or a catastrophic failure. The culture allows little wiggle room, and gamers are so expectant these days that if a game falls out of its good graces even once, it might as well not exist. Minds were made up about Outlaws a long time before its launch, and that's not fair.
I'm sorry. The reason why you release trailers and shit is because people are going to form an opinion about what you're putting out there. Judging the whole game by it, sure, they can't do that, but these things are there to be judged. They want
Nobody
you to
would
judge
be
it
saying this
positively.
positively.
Exactly. That's the expectation. If you judge it positively, then nobody cares. They're like, yeah, you're excited, and that's good. But if you think it's going to be crap, oh, you're judging it too harshly. It's meant to be judged. That's what a trailer is for.
So she does have a point here about the industry, but not about this game. Like,
yeah,
this game is a
say,
catastrophic
if she
failure.
said to me, like, isn't it nuts how everything's like a big old masterpiece or just a catastrophic failure? I might be like, yeah, but this is a catastrophic failure.
Yeah, but this one is actually a catastrophic
This one is
failure,
actually
yes.
one.
Like,
I
we
agree.
can...
There is definitely too much in the gaming space of Game of the Year confirmed, which is one of the most embarrassing, stupid. I hate seeing people say that. Oh, Game of the Year confirmed. It's like, you haven't played it yet, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, the other one being it's trash, right? It's trash game. That's a problem. But yeah, this one actually is shit.
Yeah,
I agree
in
that
the
there's an
article, she also
industry.
blames misogyny because, of course, she does.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I got to get that in there.
I
But
think
Nyx is a male.
there is certainly something to talk about with regards to the industry and spending $300 million on a game, because if you're spending $300 million, right, you're probably getting $50 million per unit back, $50 per unit back,
But damn.
which means that you're going to need to sell 6 million copies of this game to break even. 6 million copies. Elden Ring sold 12, Black Myth Wukong sold 10 million, right? These are not easy numbers to achieve. The best games in the year are sending 10 million copies, right? Like, that is the best of the best. And you're putting out a game that can't even break even if it doesn't sell 6 million copies.
Well, we now have it confirmed. Even the best of the Golem-likes only get up to about 1 million sales.
Yeah,
it's tough, man. It's a tough industry out there.
I feel like gaming is currently in the same space like the big budget movies. They just throw out all this money and think they make like the next big blockbuster movie or big blockbuster game, and they start to realize, oh, we're spending all this money and we get like nothing back.
Every game has to be the fucking Spirit Bomb.
Yes. Yeah. You know,
we can't just make consistently decent games that sell consistently decently well and build up a reputation over time. No. Everything has to be the biggest thing ever, the best thing ever.
Understood. When you've got somebody, you know, like Sony saying we spent $250 million on Spider-Man 2 and we need to not do that anymore, that's a lot of money to spend on a video game. That's a lot of money, right?
Oh yeah.
300 million on this, the 200 or maybe 400 on Concord, right? Like, there's hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on these games and they are failing horrifically. It's just unsustainable, especially as you mentioned earlier, with the idea that every 2 years we're coming out with these games that you have to play forever. I agree that there's an industry problem. I do. But then to say that also.
Yeah. Well,
also, it's misogyny. That's what it actually is.
It's the spookiest time of year, and what's more suitable than EFAP celebrating with a brand new set of terrifying plushies? Introducing the EFAP Halloween plushie set, starting with Mauler the Longpire, a terrifying monster of bloodthirst and long. This cuddly beast is both infamous and primal in his desire to drain the very soul from the world of media, and he's coming for you. But he's not alone. How could the Long Pyre be complete without his trusty doggo, Rags-O-Lantern? Poised charmingly in his pumpkin, your Rags-O-Lantern will be there to offer his support and encouragement and sarcastic commentary to all your endeavors. This gourd-adorned Shiba Inu will give your pumpkin patch a pantalooned pooch's worth of company, and of course, both of these fine, fiendish fellows are joined by yet another. Though his eyes may have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, Fringy the Raven will gladly perch atop your couch, cuddly and at the ready. This corvid ventures nowhere without his scythe, and he's more than ready to slash his way through all obstacles. But not without the final member of this cutthroat cohort. Hear the bell as it strikes the hour of the wolf. When the midnight sky is red, a beast shall emerge from the forest to plunder your local pizza parlor. Behold, the dreaded werewolf, complete with the sunken eyes of a beast who avoids the searing heat of the sun, carrying with him a slice of his latest victim. This legend of the night will surely be a fantastic addition to this crew of dark demons and pumpkin playmates. But that's not all, no sir. Have you ever left home only to worry you're leaving the members of your favorite podcast behind? Do you despair when Mauler's commentary, Fringy's laughs, Wolf's fury, or Rags's puns aren't around anymore? Well, anguish no longer. Now you can stay warm and cozy during those chilly autumn days while constantly explaining to everyone that no, it's not electronic fapping, I swear. Introducing the official Every Frame a Pause Halloween hoodie. Perfect for lounging around indoors, shopping, long walks on the pier, weddings, baby showers, funerals, Halloween, Christmas. Complete with the expected furnishings of the season, as well as some gorgeous artwork by Black Soul Odin. The EFAP hoodie is ready to keep you warm and comfy through those winter months. There may even be a surprise guest on the back. Pick up yours today, because once the campaign ends, it'll be gone for good. And don't forget Mauler the Longpire, Rags-O-Lantern, Fringy the Raven, and Werewolf. Completing the EFAP Halloween set. For every item you pick up together, the discount will increase. Be sure about what you'd like before it's too late, as the spooky season will not last forever. Find them all at makeship.com/shop/EFAP. All links can be found in the description. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting the show. We will see you next time.